In your lifetime, you may have come across some people who run for political office who say, "I'm going to fight for you every day." Ever heard that chant before? I'll be working for you every 24 hours. I'll be standing there every morning fighting all the issues. And then you watch them, and they're talking every day, but they're not necessarily doing every day. Unfortunately, we see a lot of that around our country right now, and yet, amidst all that, there's a positive. There are doers out there, people who truly do go out and fight for liberty and freedom and the things that we cherish as Americans and the things that are going to make us all better in the long run. Such a person is your next speaker this morning. He is the representative from the 10th Congressional District here in the state of Pennsylvania. He happens to be my representative from York County. He is a guy who offers a great example of someone who can stand up when things don't go so well and can take the slings and arrows of the press and other people out there who are critical and fight back. He is what I call a policy doer, not a politician. Politicians want to win and someone's got to lose. Scott Perry is a guy who wants to win and make sure everybody wins in the long run in America. And it's an honor to call him congressman, an honor to call him friend, and an honor to introduce him right now. Congressman Scott Perry from the 10th Congressional District of Freedom.
Let's get into it. We want to use up all the time, bring in the diesel, right? So I'm here from Washington to report to you from your federal government that the nation is in great shape. Yeah, it's April Fool's, right? It's April Fool's. I will tell you, I struggled about what to talk to you about this morning if you look at the last week that we had, right? Literally like 10 years of week. Or 10 years of events in 1 week. But I had to try and get myself right about the whole thing, so I thought to myself, you know, when I was born in America, and I grew up in America, and the America that I think of, identify as, is one that you're so proud of. Like, if you have an American passport, that means something around the globe, right? Not just at home, that means something. There's a sense that things are done correctly here and for the right reasons. But I woke up this week feeling like I woke up in the third world. Like I woke up in a banana republic, and I thought, well, look, Penn Live's probably going to be here, so I better know what I'm talking about banana republic and third world. So I checked it out. Now, the United States doesn't sell a lot of bananas, right? So we're probably not really, but there's more to it than that. And as far as the third world goes, look, there's a lot of definitions about it. Declining lifespans, unstable financial markets are hallmarks of the third world. Limited commodities are examples of the third world. Now, we don't have limited commodities in the United States of America. We just limit ourselves from getting them, right? But what the outcome is essentially the same. It is essentially the same. Look, I think that we have to come to the realization that if it walks like a duck, and it quacks like a duck, and it swims like a duck, and it poops like a duck, it might be a duck. It really might be, right? So I know that we are all concerned, and rightly so. Cataclysmic things are happening moment by moment. It used to be like I could take one of, big things once a year or once a week, but it's now almost, it's more than day by day, minute by minute. It's moment by moment. I mean, you think about the week that we had. The largest economy in South America made a deal with China to not use the United States dollar anymore as their currency, right? Saudi Arabia made a deal with China to not use the petrodollar. There was a mass shooting where a transgender person, and we don't know, we're not allowed to see the manifesto, went out and killed a bunch of people for their faith, and it wasn't condemned. It was not condemned by the nation's leader. The President of the United States was indicted. There was a person that put memes out on social media kind of made fun of, I guess, the left, Democrats, and Hillary Clinton, and said, you know, you can text your vote in. Who's now convicted and looking at 10 years. At 10 years. Like, so many things of huge magnitude happened in one moment. Geopolitical shift of where America is vis-a-vis our adversaries, and then the things that are happening right in our communities. And the pace is breathtaking. It is breathtaking. And you say to yourself, well, look, if you're me, look, one of my earliest memories is growing up. Next door neighbors were Victor and Joan Cotto. They were Cuban folks. And we played with Carlos and Leaner, who were Cubans. And we had a great time. We loved our neighbors. We got together for dinner. We helped each other out with the car. We watched, my parents and their parents watched each other's kids. And it wasn't like, you're not from where I'm from, and you don't work where I work, and you don't believe what I believe, so I cannot be near you. I can't talk to you. We just, and they were Cuban. They were Cubans from Cuba. They came from Batista's Cuba, right? They escaped having all their property taken, all their dignity taken, to come to the free country of America, and they just moved in next to us, and we got along just fine. And that's what I remember, and then I fast forward to today, to this moment. And I think to myself, my goodness, how far we have come. Now, we're not Cuba, and thank goodness we're not. But we better be careful we don't become Cuba. We better be darn careful. And I know I'm preaching to the choir. I get it. I know I'm preaching to, you're all coming from far away, here to the great Lowman Henry PLC event because you love your country and you want to be around other people to think that you're not crazy, right? Because that's what it is now today, right? Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Governor Sanders said it after the State of the Union. It's not just about gradation or shades of, I kind of think this way and the solution's over here, you think that way, and we can meet in the middle. It's not like that anymore. It is crazy and it is normal. And there's not a lot in between that. There's not a lot of room in between that. There's an urgency, and I hope you sense it. I sure hope you sense it, because I do, that there's not a lot of time left, right? There's no time left. We need to be working diligently every moment to save our country and our Commonwealth, and there's not a lot of room for compromise. As a matter of fact, I hate to say this way, but there's just no room for compromise with crazy, right? There's no room for that. We have given and given and given as much as we can. We have tried to be reasonable. We have tried to be accommodating to other viewpoints, but don't tell me, don't force me. I'm the proud father, my wife and I are the proud parents of 2 beautiful little girls, right? Don't tell me that my girls are gonna go to the locker room and shower and go to the bathroom and change their clothes with some boy of the same age or older and tell me I have to accept it and it's right, and if I don't, I'm going to jail. Don't tell me that. Now look, we always got to put the disclaimer in, right? They're baiting us, right? They're trolling us, they are gaslighting us, and they are desperate. They want you to lash out. They want us to lash out. We have to resist that. We're going to resist. We're not going to do that. We're not going to get violent. We're not going to be unlawful. But we're going to beat them at their own game. We're going to beat them. We're going to get up early. We're going to stay up late. We're going to figure out what their program is, and we're going to head them off at the pass, and we're going to beat them because we have to. We have to. We just simply have to. We, as you know, I think it's old. It's already 3 months ago now. I think it's old. So you were watching probably on TV when we had to elect the Speaker of the House of Representatives, right? And this is America. We don't have coronations. We run for office, right? And so I'm watching what's happening in Congress. Let me give you a couple examples. So there's a bunch of different committees. I don't get to sit on every committee, but the things that the committees do affect you. And I'm your representative. So I have to vote, and I get to vote on your behalf on these things, but I'm not on the committee. So things come to the floor, the committee has determined what they are, and I get to vote, and typically it's been you vote yes if you agree, you vote no if you don't. But if you want some input, you offer an amendment, because this bill it affects the folks that I represent, but you missed this part of it. So I have an amendment at the desk. That process that I just described to you hasn't happened for 7 years. For 7 years. So your voice, through me, there is none, right? So I went to the speaker. Well, he's the speaker now. I went to the leader back then, back in July, and I said, look, I think we're going to win. I don't think we're going to win as much as you think we're going to win, because we haven't earned it, but that's another story. But I think we're going to win, and we got to make some changes around here. Now, in the interest of full disclosure, I've known Kevin McCarthy since we were in Young Republicans together, so you can tell that's a long time ago now. And so, but it's not personal. It can't be personal, but it's business. It's the business of the country, because I feel the urgency like you do. The urgency. So I said, we cannot keep doing the same things, the same ways, with the same people, and think that there's going to be a different outcome. That's not going to happen. So look, we've got some ideas here, and we've worked very diligently on them, and we're very professional about it. Would you consider these? Well, you know what I got? We're going to have a 240-seat majority, Perry. I don't have to listen to you and your crazy band of lunatics over there. And so a little pat on the head. It's nice to see you out of my office. That started in July. I kept a smile on my face because I could see what was coming. And I know a lot of you said, we want this huge majority. But I was saying, no, I don't want a huge majority. A huge majority of a bunch of squishes that say they want to change our country and save our country, but they won't vote for any of it, right? I want it to be narrow, right? I want a bunch of people that are willing to save the republic. So I kept going back. And I'd take some people with me, and we'd have a conversation, but the same thing would happen every time. Pat on the head, slap on the rear end, see you later, we're not interested. But I'm diligent, and like I said, I didn't make it personal, so I always have a smile on my face, because we have to be happy warriors. You turn people off if you come in and say, you're stupid, you're wrong, and I'm not going to accept your premise. Nobody wants to listen when you say that. So I kept going back. Now, I didn't get any traction until, I think it was November 9th. You remember that day before November 8th, there was an election. Instead of getting 240 seats, well, we're from Pennsylvania, right? Like, I don't even get to know if I get my seat, the seat that I've run for weeks later. But I thought it was looking pretty decent, so I rolled the dice, and I said, I think I'm going to be the next representative from the 10th District. I go down to Washington, and I call up Kevin McCarthy. I said, I'd like to get together. He said, yeah, I'd like to talk to you. Awesome. So I sit down, have conversation. Well, you know, Scott, that's very difficult. The conference, I'm with you, but I can't. They're in disagreement and so on and so forth. I told him, I said, look, if you're for this, they're going to be for this. Well, we'll see. We'll see. And we kept on having these meetings, but nothing was really changing. And when we had the Rules Committee meeting, do you know what the Rules Committee is? So we run the operation with a set of rules. Like, you know, in baseball or football, you got a set of rules. Same thing in Congress, you got a set of rules. And a new member, brand newly elected to Congress, approaches the mic. He's got an amendment to the rules. And the conference chair says, sit down, you're out of order, welcome to Congress. Literally says that. And I'm like, oh, perfect. Set the tone for all the new folks so they can see it's not just the crazy people that have watched what's going on here. Keith Rothfuss knows, he was there. Not there at that, well, maybe you were there at that time. So anyhow, I called Kevin the next day and I said, can I come see you? He said, yes, sir. I went to his office and I said, Kevin, we're friends. I don't want to lose the friendship, and I'm not going to. But you're going to have to do something dramatic, and you're going to have to do it now. Because what you're doing is solidifying these people's positions, like your rhetoric and your actions are like a hot wind on wet concrete, and their feet are in the concrete, and they're not going to move. And I said, that's all I can tell you. I'm trying to help. You know what I got? I got a pat on the head, slap on the rear end, out the door. Nothing changed. So people came out and said, I'm not voting for this guy. So on January 2nd, the vote for Speaker is January 3rd at noon. On January 2nd, for 11 hours, I sit with this group of people, a bunch of us, and we come up with a plan that we think can get 218 votes. Crazy things like literally 72 hours to read the bill. Because you know we got 72 hours. It's in the rule, 72 hours. But 72 hours at your house is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's 72 hours. In Congress, 72 hours is 1 second before midnight on day 1, 24 hours on day 2, and 1 second after midnight on day 3. That's 72 hours to read 4,000 pages of legislative text, right? So we want things like that. How about this? Single subject bills, because I don't want to vote for the farm bill with the Yemen resolution. Not the same. So we take a proposal to the guy that wants to be speaker. We talk him through it. He stands up. He extends his hand to shake it. And he says, "You're not serious." And he turns around and walks out. The next morning at conference, I was like walking into an angry Antifa mob. Conference, all Republicans, right? I was told, this is what I was told: "Your presence here disgusts me." It's very inviting. You should try it sometime, right? So we went to the floor, and away we went, because they said, "You're going to blink, and you're going to buckle." Oh, I just got extended. Awesome. 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 So you're going to blink, you're going to fold up like a wetsuit, cheap suit, and of course you saw what happened after that. The things we asked for were not unreasonable. If you looked at the list of the things that we asked for, not unreasonable. This is a once-in-a-100-year fight, because we can all lose our way. Even Republicans can lose our way. And there's too much power invested in too few people. We want to have amendments so that we can have our voices heard. I often say, I don't have to have my way. I want my way. But I don't have to have my way, but I got to have a say. I got to have a say. And so after a few days of this round-robin voting, and they realized that we meant business, right? Because the Constitution, this thing, where is it here? This wonderful little thing. Like, we all stand there and take an oath. We all stand there and take an oath to uphold and defend it. It is worth the trouble. It is worth the discomfort. It is worth the ridicule. It is worth the misunderstanding to get it right. And so after a couple days, when they realized we were not going to blink and we were not going to crack, then they wanted to talk. And you know what we ended up with at the end of this whole thing? What I went on the end of July with hat in hand and a couple pieces of paper to the leader of the conference. That's what we ended up with. Single subject bills, literally 72 hours to vote. A couple other people on the Rules Committee, people represented across the conference that you would see in this room, as opposed to those that just vote the right way and pay all the money, right? That's how it ended up, because it is worth the fight. Because I will tell you this, folks. We're supposed to be a free country, and we consider ourselves a free country. And I want you to really think. I want you to actually go back and look, when you get done, at what the definition of a third world country is. I want you to look at Banana Republic. I want you to look at a Praetorian form of government. And I want you to think about just what happened this last week. And you think about the freedoms of America. The freedoms of America, right? We think we're a free country, but I would just ask you this. Does a free people, little things, does a free people get to choose whether they have a backup camera or not on their car? Because I want you to know you don't have a choice anymore. Like, you can't buy a new car without one. Does a free people get to decide what they're doing in their home without going and begging for a permit from their local community district, your township, your borough, something like that? Does a free people get to choose? Look, it's coming. I know they're telling you they're not. It's not. But does a free people get to choose whether you have a gas stove or an electric stove? Or if you can buy a car that's not run and controlled by the government and the power that the government's taken over? Does a free country allow you to dig coal out of the earth and use it, or have a copper mine, or do we have to buy it all from China? I would just tell you that we are losing our freedoms little by little, moment by moment, at a breathtaking pace right now. at a breathtaking pace right now. And it is urgent. And if we don't fight for the things that we believe in, if we don't make ourselves uncomfortable, if we don't challenge the way it's always been, everything that I grew up with Joan and Victor Cotto and Carlos and Lena back when we were little kids, for my little kids, is all going to be gone, and it's happening right now. It's happening right now. So I would encourage you this. We've got 1 minute left. You're going to see a bunch of candidates, people like me, people that used to be, people that want to be, people that are. Demand from them to stand up and fight for your freedoms, or you will not accept their candidacy. You will not help them. You will not support them. It's not personal. It wasn't personal with me and Kevin McCarthy, but it is business. It is the business of the salvation of the Republic of the United States of America, and it is worth your effort. It is worth your sacrifice. It is worth their and your discomfort, and we can no longer try to find compromise between normal and crazy. Crazy's got to go. We just want to be normal. And we're going to have to fight for it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have to fight. All right? I'm out of here. God bless you. Stay in it. Stay in it.